Hi guys, my name's Jay Nera and I'm going to talk about the bench press. Most of us learned to bench press, we didn't really have a coach, we just walked into a gym and we just kind of sat on the bench and just started pressing. So for most of us, we had more of a bodybuilding style bench press. We just kind of got under the bar, flat back, our elbows are just kind of going straight out to the side, not really sure what we're doing. Some people even going up towards the neck. We're not really sure. We weren't really sure what we were doing or what the goal was. Was the goal just to get bigger? Was the goal to get stronger? I'm going to go over the powerlifting style, which I honestly just learned maybe 4 or 5 years ago myself. It doesn't mean that necessarily one is better than the other, because there are actually some phenomenal powerlifters who are also bodybuilders, and they bench press like this. They don't have shoulder pains, they don't have shoulder injuries, and they are moving well over 500, 600 pounds, some of them. So it's not to say one is better than the other. I'm going to go over how I bench press as a powerlifter and how I think it is most beneficial. So with the powerlifting style, one of the things that we're trying to do is maximize our leverages. Okay, we're trying to maximize our leverages, and to do that, we're trying to put everything in a solid, stable position with a minimal range of motion. For most lifters, to be efficient, it's a minimal range of motion. So one of the things that we can do is get this area as far from the bench as possible, because then we don't have to move it as far. As opposed to being flat, that's a farther range of motion to touch your chest. So we want to get this nice and far. And with a heavy weight, to keep that really far, we have to be really tight in the back. So to feel, just to get the feel for what muscles we want to activate, you can grab a band, okay? Drive your elbows down towards the ground or towards your hips as hard as you can with an arch in your back, and try and pull this band apart and make it touch your chest. Okay, you're gonna try and pull this through. Pull your belly through the band, elbows down, okay? Hold that for a couple seconds. You'll feel everything in your back light up, and those are the muscles we wanna keep nice and tight when we're underneath the bar. So to help maintain that arch and get our legs involved in the lift, get some leg drive, keeping everything nice and solid, we have to think about where we're going to put our feet. There are really two different ways to place your feet. Whether you're narrow or wide, those are other little things, but in powerlifting you have people who tuck their feet back, and people who tuck their feet back tend to go on top of their toes or just on the ball of their foot very slightly. Okay. So like that. This is for people who are very flexible, okay, and can get a really good arch. So I'm not very flexible or flexible enough for this style, and I find it hard to maintain a position this far back. The pushing is going to happen a little bit more through the knees like that, and you will see some people with this style who have phenomenal arches that you could just stick your arm right through the bench and not even touch their bodies, because they have these awesome arches. The other way is to go more on the ball of your foot with your heel closer to the ground, and it's really where is your foot in relation to your knee. If your foot's really far behind your knee, you're going to end up being on your toes in the tuck position, and then if you're going to be more underneath your knee when you're benching like this, then you're going to have your heel closer to the ground. In some federations, your heel has to stay on the ground. So you should figure out what federation you want to compete in if you plan on competing as a powerlifter, because you don't want to learn to bench in a tuck position and then go to a competition and have to bench off your heels. Okay? So I like to go like that. Okay? So I like to go right about here. And then usually I drive my heels towards the ground, and you'll notice they're very close to the ground at this point. Okay? And you can see as I push with my heels, you can see my chest rise a little bit. Okay? Now when I'm setting up under the bar and I'm grabbing the bar, the goal is to really get that upper body tight first and then set your feet up. So I grab onto the bar and I like to break the bar, okay, to try and get my elbows in a little bit. I prefer to bench on the descent with my elbows coming in, okay? So I'm gonna break the bar, I'm gonna get under it, okay? I'm getting up on my traps. I'm driving my elbows down towards my hips, or my shoulders down towards my hips to activate my lats, okay? I'm breaking the bar, and then I'm gonna reach far with my feet. Okay. So once I get under the bar, what I'm thinking about, breaking the bar, I'm trying to touch in this area, okay, right around my sternum. Not quite to the belly, not up high. This is where I like to touch, okay? For different people, this is gonna be different because we're not all the same length here. We're not all the same length here. It's gonna be different, right? And different people have stronger chest muscles, stronger shoulders, tricep dominant. Same thing goes with the grip, okay? If you're very strong triceps, you're gonna go closer grip. If you're more chest and shoulder dominant, you might wanna go a little bit wider, okay? So these things are all gonna vary dependent on your strengths and weaknesses. But one thing that all of them are gonna have in common when powerlifting is when we are bringing it down, we are trying to stretch our muscles. We are trying to expand towards the bar. So in my mind, I'm not thinking about bringing the bar to my chest. I'm thinking about expanding up towards the bar, okay? So I'm pressing towards the bar, I'm driving my heels into the ground, and then when I get that press command, we go. With the press command, so you see some guys sinking the bar into their chest, or some people just kind of resting it slightly on their chest, waiting for that press command. In powerlifting, the rules are it has to come to a complete stop touching your chest. Whether or not it is sinking in or sitting on top is irrelevant. As long as you demonstrate full control and it is sitting on your chest, that's all that matters. Now we see some lifters, it sinks into the chest, they get the press command, and you see a very strong leg drive, their whole body, just boom, everything forces it up. Some people think it's like heaving, but this is well within the rules. The rules are, once you get the press command, the bar cannot move down. So as long as you're not here, you get a press command and then you go down, up, okay, as long as that does not happen, you are still within the rules. When I'm benching, I like to let it sink just a little bit and then drive up. You'll see some phenomenal guys who bench over 500 pounds, like fellow animals Dan and Andre, and they let it sink just a little bit, and then they have awesome leg drive, which generates a lot of speed. Another thing I've noticed with myself is with the really heavy weights, once I get above 90%, and I'm holding the bar, I come down, and when I go to drive, sometimes the bar isn't coming up nicely towards my chin. We want to end up towards the chin because we want to go straight up from the shoulders, okay? If we go straight up from the sternum, from the chest, it's going to be away, so it's very hard on the external rotators almost to hold the bar up there. And what happens to me is sometimes I go to drive really hard, and if I'm holding the bar like this or like this, if I drive really hard, sometimes my wrist might go this way, so I start losing the bar like that. So I've started holding the bar a little bit more on this side with my wrist, my hand back, so that the bar is slightly on this side of my elbow. Then when I go to drive, it naturally wants to go up towards my chin. Okay, so this is me setting up the bench press. So I like to get my index fingers on the rings. First thing I'm going to do, drive my traps into the bench, squeeze my shoulders down towards my hips, pinch my shoulder blades back. Externally rotating. Now I'm going to drive my feet one at a time, nice and far back. Make sure my glutes are on the bench. Okay. take a deep breath, lift off. The bar is slightly on the far side of my wrist towards me, okay, on the close side. As I bring it down, I'm going to expand, drive my heels and expand towards the bar. So I take a deep breath in, and I'm expanding, expanding, expanding towards the bar, okay? And then I just press away towards the chin. That press towards the chin. As the weights get heavier and you get closer to a 1 rep max, the bar path isn't always going to go up and down in the same way. So when you do a squat, the bar goes straight down, straight up somewhat, right? But in the bench press, unlike all the other lifts, the bar doesn't necessarily go up and down on the same pathway. The bench press, so if my head's here and my feet are here, if it goes down like this, maybe when it's light, it'll go back up in the same kind of arc, or J, right? Down, up. But as the weights get heavier, it's a little bit harder to keep that same path. So what might happen is I might drive and it comes over my face, and then I might need to make some adjustments to get it up. So just keep that in mind. It's not always about getting that exact same path, bar path. Sometimes you have to make adjustments as you go. And I talk about keeping the elbows in and then pressing up, and you'll see some really good bench pressers. As they come in, they punch up, and then the bar starts slowing down. You see them keep going towards the face by flaring out, okay? The boss is someone who does that really well. You can really see how and when he does it, okay? He flares out. So it's one thing to keep in mind. All right, guys, so those are some of the things that I like to think about when I'm bench pressing. I hope they help. Be sure to check out more Big on Basics videos on the bench press, such as Garrett and Dan's, and good luck.